Yes, people, how are we doing? This is Leo Doce, and you are tuned into Lion in the Room, a podcast brought to you by Lion's Den Studio Production, all these things owned by me as well. Like I said, today has been a lovely day. We're starting early, and I would just like to get into it really because I'm going to be having fun. I would like to bring to you a special guest. He's a lovely guy, a man of the people, honestly, and we're going to get to know how he does it, you know. I've worked with him, I've gotten to talk with him, I've learned from him. This is Dean Powell, also known as the Dark Lord Interior.
Yeah.
Welcome to the podcast, my bro. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me, man. Lovely setup. Thank you.
Thank you. It's really just been in the making, honestly, and hopefully it gets better.
Yeah.
But I would like to know, man, honestly, the Dark Lord isn't always the name you take on a positive note, but you've turned it into your whole mantra, man.
Yeah.
Let's really just get to know, who are you and how do you keep yourself the way you are?
Well, you know, I think for me, Dark Lord I think it has meanings when you think of dark, dark textures. I think even when it goes into picking a name, and the name was kind of given to me when I was on an interior design master.
Okay.
It kept calling the guy called Banjo, who won the show, was like, Dark Lord, because I kept using dark colors. I was like, I'm going to take that. You can have it. And I laughed. I said, I'm going to take it because for me, like, there's beauty in black. There's beauty in colors. And I think it makes you think about how black is perceived and how it's used.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people go, oh, white's better because it's pure and it's neat. And if you do something white. So I thought, let me take Dark Lord and let me really run with the dark features and tell people what really dark and beautiful, how black is. And I've always got this mantra saying black is beautiful.
Yeah, of course.
So yes, people, black is beautiful. And I think it's important for me to educate that for my children, but it's also for myself, being a black man that loves black interiors and black designs and just love being black. It's one of them things I love to celebrate. So for me, it's always that name where it fits. And obviously my design and style always fits around that. I think black is very elegant, it's timeless, it's stunning, it works in every occasion. So for me, it's one of them names I definitely had to have.
That's good.
And I'm a Lord of Darkness, so therefore I take it.
I love that though, right? I love that because, you know, a lot of people do have those assumptions, you know, in terms of the colors and how they represent them. Obviously based off of how the world is and how people choose to push particular things. But when you look at the dark colors, the color black, you can also look at it from the perspective of Gothic architecture. Yeah. Or you can even add a bit more to the fact that it brings a sense of maturity as well. When you style nicely in a black outfit, dark outfit, sometimes even a dark blue, you will stand out, but it's very suave. Yeah. You know? I don't need to wear the whites and the beige. I love beige though. I'm gonna let you guys know. I know truthfully.
That's true. You do. I've seen you in beige.
Honestly, the light beige, the medium beige. You know, give me a little khaki as well. It's not beige, but I'll work it out. I love it.
Definitely.
But being able to represent yourself with the name, with the alias, and at the same time with the way you dress, the way you style the things around you, it really does show that colors aren't just represented by, you know, what people define them with. You can really turn it into whatever you want. I mean,
yeah, definitely. I think it's about self-expression, and I'm always the biggest thing about self-expression and being no ceilings to it. I think a lot of people look at a color and go, right, black. Yeah, I think when I first did my house black, everybody was like, oh, black. Oh, isn't that going to be like too dark? It's going to be moody. It's going to be like gothic. And I'm like, no, actually, it's quite relaxed. It's chilled. The sun that people think when you have a black house, think your house will attract all the sun. It doesn't. It's actually cooling. It's calm.
Oh, really? Okay.
And again, black to me is more refined. I think it's very classic. I think when you look at an outfit and say, I'm going to go to a tux, the tux is always a black tux. Yeah. If you go to a party, you put on a female, she puts on a black dress. It's always got something sexy but mature but sophisticated. It always looks timeless but effortless at the same time.
Yes,
effortless. And I think that's the key beauty of it. It will never go out of fashion. And it will always stay in fashion. And I think that's the beauty of being black in color, but also feeling being black myself as a representation. I just think I will always be timeless. If you look at another black person, they do not age the same way as anybody else does. It's timeless. They always have their own style about them, no matter what part of the country you're from or what origin you're from. There's always a signature with it. There's always a confidence with it. There's a flair with it. There's a sexiness about it.
True.
So for me, it's kind of that thing where you embody the color and make it more fun. Like you shouldn't be scared to try black in your house if you want to use black. You shouldn't be scared to wear black. Now, if we get into it, there's some colors that work better for other people. Now, don't get me wrong. As you said, I love beige too.
Yeah, cool,
I love red.
Push out there.
I love pink. I love all the colors. I'm not scared to, when it comes to my fashion sense, I'm not scared to play around with any color. I think it's self-expression. If you feel confident and bold enough in what you're wearing, then it will work for you. I just don't think you should be parametered by what you should wear and what you shouldn't. And I think a lot of people have this mindset that I should wear this and this works for me and this isn't, or Dean, this works for you, but it doesn't work for me. You can pull it off, but I can't. I'm like, no. It's all about confidence. And I think once you find your inner confidence, you can make anything look good. Once you feel confident within yourself.
True.
It's all about that self-love.
Exactly. The way you view yourself, you know, sometimes just simply looking in the mirror and being able to appreciate the fact that you are one of one.
Yes.
You know what I mean? One of one. So anything you try to do is still going to be uniquely yours.
Yes, exactly.
It's still going to be uniquely yours, and people will hate it or love it regardless of whether you dress up nicely or you're wearing tattered whatevers. Yeah. You know, so at the end of the day, people just have to do you, be confident. As long as, you know, you're not making like black spaghetti or nothing like that, you know, because you got people with the pink stuff. Oh,
don't done it. I ain't done it yet, but I had some black grass for my garden. So, you know, I think for me, anything with black and you can get, and it's obviously not going to cause you any injury or harm. And especially in the food circuit, if I can get black pasta, I will make black pasta. So watch out for that food. Any food dye companies want to give me some black pasta, then we're all down for it. Because I think it's one of the things I think being a visionary or a creative, as I like to say, a creative, you're not scared to create and try new things.
True.
And to my thing is, and the things I would teach my kid is, there's nothing wrong with failing. If you try something and it doesn't work, there's nothing wrong with that. Not everything I do will always work. There will be mistakes. But the thing is, from a mistake, you learn from it and you grow from it and you then redo it again. Yeah. So I think for me, even when it comes to like styling or interiors or just in life, general life lessons, you're going to make mistakes. So I think it's all about embracing the mistakes, taking a lesson from the mistakes, and then moving forward from it. That's the beauty of life.
That's cool, man. I want to know real quick, like, how do you get the grass being black? How do you get the grass to be black? do you paint it or you order like some black carpet?
There's a particular grass, and my cousin's partner gave it to me.
Oh, okay.
She's called black grass. I was like, black grass? You must be joking here. And she gave it to me, and I had it for a pot for a while, put it in the garden. So you can actually get black grass. It's not like fully black.
Okay. It's like darkened.
But it's darkened. But you can't plant it like the West Coast. You would have to plant it and it would kind of put it all together to make it one run. But effectively, if I had the time and the money, then yes, I would do it. And then I'd have a black garden with black grass.
Fair enough, man. Black orchids and black roses as well.
Hey, you know what? I've got some black orchids. My wife, I don't really do plants. I do tropical plants. So that's why I didn't do it. But yeah, can be done.
That's cool. That's cool. I really like this because what I've noticed, obviously in knowing you, getting to hear what you're talking about now, you have had your hand in a few different things. Gardening, designing, at the same time styling, fashion. Do you find yourself really interested in these things at the beginning, or do you kind of grow to love these hobbies and things that you pick around?
I think, you know, it's stages of life. So fashion, I remember I was into fashion, but not really into fashion. I've always been into art. So I think once I come from a creative background, art side, I think I wasn't really into fashion until I dated a girl that was into fashion. Okay. And she was ahead of her game. So when I was working with her or dating her, I really saw her level and I was like, okay, I see how she's putting colors together, how she's coordinating. I can see it in an artist's mind of that's how you do it. And that's really got me onto the fashion side. And then obviously I started working into fashion and then I started working in London. So you start to pick things up. But when I was younger, I really wasn't into gardening. That wasn't my forte. Interior design wasn't my forte either. I think it was all about the fashion part and looking good. When you're younger, you want to look good.
You just want to look good.
You just want to look good. You want to look fly. So once you get a little bit older, I think then it comes a level part where you're going, right, I want a house. And now I'm getting a house. Even when I had a house at 21, I wasn't really in the mode of, now I've got a house, I've got to make this house look good. It wouldn't have been the dark lord you see now. It would have just been a house. And I remember I had some Hessian curtains. Like I remember I moved into a house, I didn't even have a bed. I had a blow-up bed. And then I had some material that I glued together to make a curtain because I needed curtains. I didn't have any curtains. I think when I moved, my mum gave me these rose-bedded curtains, which, trust me, it's a single melt. It weren't.
Not in my house.
Not in my house. So I made my own Hessian curtains that looked like big in like a potato sack bag. But even then, I think creatively wise, I was doing things, but it wasn't to the stage I'm at now. And I didn't really pay that much attention to it. I think when you get to a certain stage in life, you start to look at things and go, right, now I'm at a fashionable level. I know what I like and this is what I like. not only my house to rectify, or well, not rectify, but kind of speak what I speak. And it's all about your house reflecting your personal style and your image.
Representation.
So, representation is key. So for me, my house didn't represent me. Interior-wise, didn't represent my style. If you saw me dressed, you'd be like, yeah, he looks good. His house doesn't match. That it doesn't coordinate. It doesn't come together. Yeah, it didn't at the time.
Okay, at the time. Okay.
But then as I got older, then you start getting more into interior design stuff, and you think, right, I want the house to reflect me. If I'm going to be a certain style, then my house has to have that certain style. Then the same thing got to the garden. It was like, right, now I've got the house done. The garden's got to rectify that. The garden's got to look just as slick and as modern as that. So the whole image looks the part. And I think for me now, when you're being creative, you're always looking at start, middle, and end. So when you get dressed, you're looking at, okay, what shirt am I wearing today? What jacket am I going to wear? What shoes am I going to wear? Yeah, what's the look I'm going for? How's my hair going to look? Am I going to groom today? What aftershave I'm putting on? All these bits of detail are all added, but some people don't see them. So for me, it's the puzzle bits you put together.
Yeah.
It's the puzzle I'm putting together. Like first, it's my outfit. That's one puzzle. The second bit is my house. That's a second puzzle. Then my garden's a second puzzle. Even the way my kids are walking around fashion and how I talk about fashion to them is passing that legacy on. So they dripped out. So it's kind of like you're passing that creativity on. And it's been brought from my mum. She's creative. My cousin was creative. My auntie was a gardener. My mum was a gardener. But I think as you get older, there's certain stages in life where you start focusing more on these types of things. And I think that's where I'm at now, where I'm at that level where I'm still learning, but I'm loving the creative side of that interior design, gardening, the infrastructure of how things should look and how it should flow and how it should make you feel. Now, very much about design for me is about how it makes you feel. The same with fashion. How do you want to feel? How do you want to look? How does that impact you? If you can make someone feel good by me, and I think that's what radiates when you say to people, I know people, I can just talk to other people. It's because I feel a certain way, I feel comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes a while for anybody, and I'm older now, where it takes a while for somebody to get to that level where they're like, you know what? I'm comfortable being me. I love me. I love what I'm about. I love what I bring to the table. It takes a while to get to that level because it takes years of wisdom, and that's what the grey hair's for.
Yeah, okay.
It's the sea biscuit.
He played that one in nicely. He played that one.
The sea biscuit's there for a reason.
Just for those wondering, what's going on up there? But definitely true. I do agree what you're saying, man. First off, as you get older, you do become a lot more critical about yourself, the things around you, and how you want to be represented. You realize that, you're not just represented by what you say, how you dress, and what people see on you. You're represented by your house. You're represented by the people that live with you. You're represented by your family as well.
Exactly.
Anyone that knows that that's your mom is going to be like, oh, that's Dean's mom. That's why he is the way he is, See how she speaks, bro. That's good. Or you go out and you see, oh, look at that guy's brother. Oh, damn, man, sagging his pants all. Fair enough, man. Whatever happens in the house is their business. You know what I mean? But you become very critical of yourself, and you've been able to appreciate those that have come before you, the hobbies that they've appreciated, and you also see how it's made their environment and themselves better. Even if it's just how you feel about yourself, or how
definitely.
you feel about what's around you, and that's lovely, man. But people, this is honestly, if this was a 13-minute episode, like, you guys have enough for you to enjoy. But I'm not mean like that. This is Lion in the Room. I'm Leo. I got Dean on. So honestly, people, if you're enjoying, do not forget to like, share, subscribe. Show your mom. Let her know. I bring people on that can speak. It's not just me, people. So hey, Lion in the Room will be moving on. All right, man. So obviously, like I've probably said, I do appreciate you being on the podcast, but it's been a while. 7 months in. This is now July, so everyone, happy new month. But I'd like to know, with the first half of the year done, how are you feeling, and what goals did you set out for yourself?
I'm feeling good for the first part of the year. I think, what it is one of them ones for the first year. I always strive to make sure that my family are okay, work-wise going well. I think things always change, and I'm always adaptable to change. I think I never always set a plan. I think I always planned in a sense to make sure that my family are okay, functionally-wise, money-wise, we're making sure things are moving. There's certain things I want to do interior design-wise that I want to do, in certain plans I set myself. But I think the main part for me is making sure that I can support my family and do what I need to do as a dad and be present and make sure my kids are okay. They're always going to be my main goal, my family first. And I think you got God first and family first. And and that thing for me is a blessing that I'm still here. So every day that I get to wake up is a blessing. Every day I get to see my children grow, that's a blessing. So that would always be my plan, to be thankful for what I've got and be thankful for my family. But the plan for me is always to make sure that I can provide. And I keep myself at a level where I'm fit and healthy, that I'm still here to be able to provide for my family, but also teach my kids certain things at the same time.
That's good, man. I love that. Being able to appreciate what you have and where you've come to as well. And just the fact that, I don't know, I think for me, I feel like when you have a family,
Yeah.
you know, it's a new chapter. It's a very large chapter because you're no longer just thinking for yourself. If anything, when you get married, you are still kind of thinking for yourself a little bit, but you're trying to think of your wife more, your partner more. Now you got kids. You have to think about them first before you even think about yourself. Everything you do is for them before you. But you seem to be enjoying it. You know, you seem to be enjoying it. You appreciate it. Even when we always spoke and you had the opportunity to talk about what's going on in your family, you know, how the boys are growing. They're growing well and you're happy about that. You get to teach them and you're proud about that. That's our man. Aside from everything else that comes with being a man, stoicism and all those things, you have prepared yourself and at the same time you're ready. You're ready. And I love that. I love that. So going into my next question, if anything, one of the main questions, what was life for you as a youngster? And how did you become the person that you are now? Because I know that challenges come, but challenges is what makes a person.
Definitely.
Challenges, overcoming them. Obviously, sometimes you do fall, you fail the first few times. Getting up is always the main thing.
Yeah.
So, chat to us, man. What was it like?
You know anything? My childhood was very colourful. I mean, I had a loving mum who do anything, had a can-do attitude. And that's where I get most of my essence from. She was fashion forward. She had a creative stuff. She would just do what she needed to do. And that's where I get my inspiration from. Father-wise, for me, when I was younger, my dad wasn't really around. And this is one of the key things I want to get that message out to the young guys in between. Because as you said that comment before, like some people do a certain thing, they may beat their women and then the kids learn from that and they go, oh, I'm going to do that.
Oh, yes.
I always say that, as my mum would say, monkey see doesn't mean monkey do.
True.
Yeah. So for me, even though I saw my dad not do the things that I would like him to do or do the things I would want him to do, didn't mean that I was going to copy that. I was very much younger, very being observant where I could watch what someone does and go, oh, I like that, but I don't like that. And I would be very picking what I want as my attributes. It's the same as you played FIFA. You can go, you know, you can get attributes like, I want him to run faster, but I want him to have the agility.
Yeah.
And you're picking. You can't be 100% everything, but you pick what you want.
Yeah.
It's a bit like that for me. When I looked at my dad, I think there were certain things that my dad did really, really well that I loved about him. He was tall, he was handsome, well-spoken, he could cook. But then he wasn't in my life very much longer. So for me, it was almost like, well, how do I want that lesson to be when I have my children? So my dad can cook. I'm going to take that. I'm going to learn from that. My dad had a certain style about him. He was charismatic. I'm going to take that. Yeah. My stepdad was very good about financials, money, learning how to put things together. He was into his fashion bit too as well. So I won't knock him, he was into his fashion. But he was that one about money, finances. And there were certain things about him that was independent when it's like making money and getting your house. And he's the one that made sure that we got our house at 21. So there's certain things you would take for some people. And there's certain things I see and go, well, I don't like that. There's certain things that I see that you do that I didn't like. So I think it came for me being a youngster was, what do I like? What don't I like? What things do I see in you? And it's very much, I made myself become a self-made man. I made this picture up of what a good dad should be and what a man should be.
What kind of man you want to grow into.
And that's it. And I think some people think, well, oh, I need to follow my dad's footstep and that'll be my guide. And I'm very much the case where I want to say to young guys out there, you don't have to do that. You don't have to follow the trend. You can make your own template up of how you want to be. So for me, when I saw certain things, I was like, you're right, I want to be that way. I watch a film and I see a guy be chivalrous with his kids. I want to be that way. I would see my cousin who would teach me how to be confident and teach me how to dance. I'll take that from him. And I think it's just picking up from different people. And I was very much like, I like what you've done there. I'm going to take that. I like how you carry yourself. I like that. I like how you can vocabulate yourself and talk smoothly and you're very charismatic, you're calm. I'm taking that. And I think that's the beautiful thing for me. And I think being a younger one and having a childhood where I didn't have a dad as much, be around to teach me the birds and the bees and talk about girlfriends. I had a godfather that would do that. I had cousins that would do that, but I didn't have a dad to do that. Do you see what I mean? So for me, the biggest thing for me when I got older was to say to God, look, no matter what happens to me, God, just bless me with 2 children or bless me with children. That's all I want. No matter, after I've had these children, whatever you see fit, I'll fall with. Please bless me with children. And that was my biggest thing. And once I've got 2 children now, I think that's my blessing. That's why I'm always being thankful, because I think in this world, the legacy you only have is your children. Once I'm gone, there's no more Dean. Yeah, there'll be bits where people might remember me and go, oh yeah, I remember that guy, I remember this bit, and I remember the black house. That will go over time.
Yeah, true.
But my legacy is my children. That's my wealth. Yeah, that's what carries my name on. That's what carries my lineage. So for me, having two children, being blessed to have 2 boys was a blessing for me. And I always would thank God to say, you know what? Thankful for that, because the first time we tried to have children, we lost our first one very early on. And I think it's common that can happen, but most guys don't talk about it. Like most people don't talk about, we were trying. And I think this is the perception of people go, oh, you bet you can't wait to have kids now you're married. And I'm like, well, how do you know I wasn't trying to have kids and we didn't have one? So I think there's always going to be chapters that will happen in your life. And I think as my mum would always teach me younger, it's survival of the fittest. She would always tell me, you're here for a test. This is a test. This is not like a practice run. This is a test run when you're in here before you can go to the pearly gates. So for me, everything that comes your way is what God won't give you what you can't handle. So when I see certain things, I'm like, right, that happened for a reason. That's going to teach me something. That's going to mold me. And that's why I'm flexible. When things go wrong, my thing is the solution. What's the solution? What do we do now? If it goes wrong tomorrow, what am I going to do now? All right, I've got to think of a plan B because I've got kids. As long as I can make sure I can put food on the table, I can pay my mortgage and pay my bills, make sure my wife is okay, my kids are okay. So that is what I've got to do. As a dad, that's my survival bit, is to make sure my kids are provided for. So I think the blessing that I ever have from God is that I have 2 beautiful children I can call mine, and I can see that legacy that was in me. And the dad that I didn't have, I can be that dad for my children. And that's a beautiful thing to have. And I think that's why I say to my kids now and go, that's a blessing. And I won't always be perfect. And I'm going to sit here and go, yeah, I'm the most perfect dad in the world. Sometimes I will say to my wife, I need to be more present.
Okay.
Because there's a conflict of that bit of, I never had it. So because I didn't have it, it's not fully in me. Because I don't know how to do it all the time. But I'm always learning. And I think as a dad, as a person in life, you always are learning. You're never going to be the finished article. And it's about being self-reflective on yourself to go, right, I know I'm good at this, but I know I ain't as good as I should be. Or I ain't being as present as I should be. I need to be more present. I need to be more focused. Yeah, and it's that accountability. And your partner's going to hold you to account. And it's being able to hear it. As my mum says, there's a saying on my chest to tell you, you can't be wrong and strong. Yeah, it's a Caribbean saying we say all the time, you can't be wrong and strong. So when I'm wrong, I will take it. My wife might agree differently. I know you might agree differently out there. But it's one of them things that you have to despair to go, you know what? Yeah. How can I be a better man? How can I be a better person? People will hold you account to that. And that's something you just have to keep working at in everyday life. And I think everyday people always working at, how can I be better? If that's fitness, is that getting up early in the morning so I spend more time with my children? Is that making sure that I eat correctly so I'm healthy with my kids? Is that making sure my mental capacity is good? That I'm wanting to, I can give my children what I need to, or give my partner what I need to, or give myself, most importantly, myself, the space I need to flourish and be the man I need to be so I can support them. Because if you don't look after yourself, you can't look after others.
That's lovely. Oh my days, man. This is why I just enjoy talking to him. You know, when I was meant to be working, I just found myself in the corner. How's things going with you, man? I'm just there ready to listen to anything this guy's trying to tell me. And that's lovely. I really like how you've been so observant in your life. You know, I'm a curious guy, so I can understand how that curiosity gets you to want to know, you know, and obviously in picking out the goods, I can imagine once in a while you find yourself picking the bads as well. You know, and you learn from those things.
Definitely.
You learn from them, because now we can also see that you acknowledge these things. You acknowledge the mistakes, you acknowledge when you fell, but you also picked yourself back up so that you could represent yourself the way you wanted to be. And it also plays into the way your boys are going to see you. Because although, you know, I'm a son too, so I know how it can be when you're young and you just feel like, my dad needs to get off my back. Like 7 years old, bro, I can still tell you that, you know, I'd prefer my building blocks and my playing outside bicycles. Like, leave me alone. Don't give me all this discipline. But when they grow up, they're going to appreciate it. Because for me, I've grown to appreciate what my parents have done for me as well. You know, it started off being curious. I'm still a very curious person now. Like we were discussing off camera, I was very anxious when I was younger. You know, some things that I didn't learn from my dad, I learned from others. A lot of things I learned from my mom. Like, you know, everyone can come out and say, oh, my mom's the best mom in the world. Get ready for competition. I'll say that to you too. Get ready for competition, because my mom don't play about. Because we're also going to get into another discussion. When I look at the way my parents have lived their lives, I can see that not everything is perfect. I can see that they are human beings. One thing my mom tries to tell me a lot, I wish I could say it word for word, but she basically says, take us for who we are. You know, we're human beings. We're not perfect, not just the way you want us to be.
Amen.
You know, because some people come out and they are disappointed by what they see, you know, very quickly, like actors. People were disappointed in Will Smith and he lost a huge following, but now people love him again. But then there's still some people that would choose not to view him as a human being. Yeah,
we have fails. We have flaws. I think parents, you have to look at parents as, it's hard because when you are younger, parents are posters. You put them up on a pedal. When you get a little bit older and you start to experience certain things in your life, you realize that They are human beings too. They can make mistakes. They are capable to flaws.
Yes.
Yeah, me being a parent, I'm going to have flaws.
Yes.
I want my kids to say, and you're right, I am the disciplinarian in my house. The D stands for disciplinarian. Dark Lord, dark lashes. Dark lashes.
You heard it here.
Hear it here first, right? Lay down the law. But it's one of them things I think as a parent, and it's fundamental when you're a dad, is to make sure that your kids understand discipline. I think that's the key. And that's where I said my mum can't be beat because she had to do both jobs. There wasn't someone go, right, I'm going to discipline this part and I'm going to tag you over, tag me.
Mm-hmm.
And I will do the bits where we do the fun time. My mum had to do fun time and discipline and it's hard. And my mum would sometimes tell me, this will hurt me more than it hurt you. And I'm thinking, what do you mean you hurt me more? How do you mean that? No, it's going to hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
But as an adult now, as a parent, I get exactly what she was saying. Telling my kids off sometimes does hurt me more because I don't want to have that conversation or have to take things away from you or have to tell you off or do certain things to punish you because it hurts my soul to do it. But it disciplines you. I always have this saying, you can bend a branch, you can't bend a tree. So you have to give them that discipline and that structure. And the only time I appreciate is as the older I've got, I'm like, you know what, Mum? I appreciate that love and discipline you gave me because if you didn't, I might be a wayward child. I might not be this polite young gentleman you created, but you've lined that in. And I have to take full credit because my mum had to do it with 3 children, sometimes on her own. And that means make dinner, make food, make sure we get everything we need to get. And my mum, I'm not knocking anybody that lived in the council house, but my mum had to work and didn't do a council house run. She didn't get them benefits. Even sometimes we went to school, we couldn't get the things we wanted, but we couldn't afford to get them because we couldn't even get the benefits because my mum was earning too much money. Mm-hmm. So there's certain things you look at and you go, you know what? My mum was a real one. I call it, she's a real G. She was a real one. She worked her butt off and she still does to this day. And she had that can-do attitude that things may go wrong, but she would still make sure we had. So that was instilled in me that anything can be done. Anything, there's discussed, I can make anything work. And I'm her son, so I'll make sure that I carry that legacy, that anything can happen. And that's the beautiful thing that I say about it is that when people see me, they don't just see me, they see my mum. Because that's a legacy she put in. When they go, you're so polite, my mum. Mm-hmm. You well-dressed, my mum. Mm-hmm. I like how you carry your mindset, my mum. Mm-hmm. All these sayings come from my mum. These are institutions from my mum. So shout out, mum. Shout out. You know I love you anyway. She gets a shout out. So love to mum. But I think it's one of them things, and it's also having people around you, like my auntie who's gone, for rest of her soul, she passed away.
Amen.
She was one of them people that made sure there were certain things about, especially code switching, learning how to code switch, how you carry yourself. I call her like Princess Di, my auntie. She was well-spoken, like proper well-spoken, like the queen, like Diana Ross. That's the level she was at to be. And she taught me loads of different things about how you carry yourself, how you move, and how you carry yourself to other people and how people will perceive you. So I think there's always lessons you learn, but I think the biggest lesson for me is that your parents are human. They will make mistakes. They will do things that you will do. And if you can make the mistakes, your parents can too. Yes, they're your parents, and yes, right, you love them, and they shouldn't make any mistakes, and they should be perfect, but we are all capable to flaws. And I think you just have to sometimes give parents a bit of slack because they are learning the same thing in your job. And being a parent isn't easy. There are no manuals.
Because it's the first time you're a parent as well.
Right, the first time you're a parent, there are no manuals. You'll learn things as you go along, but you'll make mistakes. The second kid gets the easy run. The third gets the best run.
Us firstborns, got a few bumps under the hair, but made it work. I made it work.
Still got concussion.
Oh my days. I wake up and I'm like, who's my dad? No, but it's lovely, honestly, because as you've said this, you realize that your parents are human. So more times than not, you take them off that pedestal.
Yes.
But the thing for me, Dean, it's going to the point where I believe that my parents need to be on a higher pedestal. Yeah. Because as human beings, they're doing a really good job. Yeah. Doing a very good job. The way my parents have decided to do it, God being so kind and merciful, my mom, she's working, she's coming here. She always did this thing where when all of us were in school, she took out time to come see us so we never felt lonely. I'll tell you the truth, like being a young kid, at first it was like, I'm good. I'm going to parties. I'm doing this. I don't want you calling, asking where I am and all that. After a while, when things were getting hard and I wasn't hearing from my parents as usual, I was like, why are they checking up on me? I need that. I'm actually struggling. 2021, I was struggling. And my parents made themselves readily available. My dad may have not been there, physically, but even in spirit, through communication, he spoke with me. And more times it was the hard truth. But sometimes you need that from one parent. And the other parent's going to give you that love, that care, that kindness. But at the same time, she's going to smack you on the mouth if you know what you do. But she's going to take care of you when you're falling out of line. And this made me who I am. If I ever fall out of line in my work and I swear, I correct myself, I'm rude. At that point in time, I feel like it's unjust. I correct myself. And those are the things that I've been able to appreciate. And then just seeing how my parents also live their own lives, I just appreciate it even more because you're also taking the time to consider my life into your life still. It's not easy, but nah, pedestal has to be this high.
Yeah, has to be. I mean, the thing is, what you got to realize when being a parent, especially a mum, after carrying you from the moment you have a baby, you're always going to be a baby. Firstborn as well. So there's always going to be this element where they're always going to make sure. And I see it in my wife, I see it in my mum, but I see it so much more in my wife now because we've got to, and the difference between how she will be with them, the love and support and the kissing and the cuddling. I'm a bit more sterner and she's more softer. And I think you need that balance. And it's that balance that gives them that because as you're right, as a boy, there are going to be times where you're going to go through things and you need that hard truth. But sometimes you need that kiss and cuddle from your mum. You need to know that hug to know your mum can tell you it's going to be all right. And there's nothing like when your mum goes, it's going to be all right, that you know she's got your back and you know it's going to be okay. No matter what's happening, your mum goes, we've been out. And I think in every guy's life, there's going to be times where you have a rock bottom. Yeah. Every guy, I think every human being will get a rock bottom. And it's making sure you reach out to your parents. I remember when I was younger, I had a bit where people go, you're so positive, Dean, you're always so happy. But there was a stage when I was depressed. There was a stage when I was younger, like, I remember I didn't have the money, I wanted to have bills, I had to pay it, and all this, it all came weighing in because I think when I was younger, I think when people have money, you get money in and you want to fly. When I was younger, I couldn't always have the cool stuff I wanted. So as I got older, I was like, I'm going to get all the cool stuff. But when you have that comes money management. How do you manage your money? I weren't managing my money. I was just spending the flitch to make me feel good. But then sometimes you think, I've got bills to pay now. So where am I going to get this money to pay these bills now?
Been there, done that.
Yeah, and you start worrying about that. I've got to pay this person. This person asks me to pay this. How am I going to pay it? I ain't got the money to pay it. Then you get into a dark spiral because you're thinking, I can't do this. And this is where your parents will come in and go, you know what? Don't worry. Here's a lifeline. I'll save you. There's many times my mum's had to bail me out. Thank you, mum. And that on the debt that I still got to pay. There's a debt. There's always a debt to parents you still got to pay. But without them parents being able to cover you and make sure you're okay, that's what gets you out of a dark place because you can see it in the world now. Some people go different ways. And with social media, it wasn't around in my day. So I didn't have Facebook. There wasn't any, MySpace came out very later on. We didn't have the technology of phones. You had like a pager. Yeah. So you had these sort of things where you could go in a real dark place really, really quickly. And it wasn't for my mum and my auntie talking to me and getting me in that place. I've never seen a dark place since because my mindset had been changed.
Great.
But the fact is we can all go there and it can always happen. And I think it's having your loved ones and your family in there checking in you to make sure and go, you know what, he ain't right. I know something's not right. I need to check on him. I need to go in there. If I didn't have that little intervention, I don't know where I'd be. So I think in family, I think your mum to have such a strong role in anybody's life. I think people love their dads because their dads were always given that structure, balance, leadership. But your mum gives you that love. She's your heart. She is the one. You might say the dad's the crown, mum's the heart. Because she will always make sure you're in check. She will know if you're not in check. She'll know if something's not right or you're not looking well or you ain't eating right or you don't look after yourself, you ain't slept right. She'll always put you back in line. And that's what I love about mums. They will always keep you in check. And you will never disrespect your mum. She's your queen. And that's how I look at it. Like my job is to serve my queen. So if my mum asks me for anything she needs, and I can do it. Whenever you need it, I do it. There's no question because she's the queen. Yeah, and I'm paying back on my parents. My job is to pay back. When that time comes and I have my kids and that time what happens.
Then you're the king.
I'm the king and the queen, the legacy. Head. And that's the thing. And that's teaching that legacy of how it should be done, how they should be gentlemen, how they should move. And also, again, as I said, money management. From a young age, I'm teaching my kids money management because I don't think parents do that as well. No. And I'm very much in terms, especially in the Black culture, teach your kids about saving money. It's not all about toys and this whips and fresh trainers. If you can get fresh trainers, turn it into how can I make money from these fresh trainers to get these fresh trainers. It's all out to me about how can I create general wealth for my kids and how can I make sure my kids are having money that when they get to a certain age, they've got. Not the flyest clothes, but the flyest money in your bank. For me is important. So for me, it's that message of making sure kids now are putting things in like trust fund savings accounts for your young kids so that when they get older, they have an easier run and that will help create general wealth for kids when they get older.
Great stuff, great stuff. This has been a lovely segment. Well, before we move on to the next one, let me just calm things down a bit. We all know that you're a very charismatic guy. You love talking to people. You love being everywhere if you can. But what people don't know about you is that you also love your sweets.
Yeah, man.
Now tell us, bro. Do you need that to move on a day to day? Like what's?
Hey man, I'm trying to be healthy right about now, so I've cut off the sweets. But you know what? I ain't gonna lie. My mum used to work for a famous sweet company, Mars, back in the day. So she's a sweet tooth. So the person I get the sweet tooth from is you, mum. This is you. My mum would have, back in the day when we were younger, she would have condensed milk in a little red cup and a spoon. You know it's true, man, right?
Carbon copy.
Yeah, so I'm a carbon copy of my mum, right? So my mum was a sweet tooth, so I become a sweet tooth. No, I don't need to function, but for me, you know me back in the day, sweets is my thing. Any sweet company wants to give me sweets for free, please let me know. I'll take them. But I love sweets. And the thing for me, it's what keeps me going. It's what, I think, it's like that top-up fuel. A lot of people go, you can't have sweets because you've got to be careful, sugars and diabetes and all these things. But for me, my body will function perfectly fine on a couple of Roundtree fruit gums. My cousin knows all about this. There's times when we've gone out clubbing. I remember there's one time in Bournemouth, we went out clubbing with my cousin and he was going around doing the food run. And I think we just got back in the club. It was 2:00. He goes, right, I'm going KFC. So he was doing everybody's orders and he was going, what do you want? And I was like, I want a KFC wrap meal. I want some chicken wings. And I go, what do you want, Dean? And I want some Roundtree fruit gums. He's like, He's like, Dean, what do you want to eat? I said, you heard me. Roundtree fruit gums, 2 packs. Thing is, with me, I'll eat them 2 packs. That's like my meal. To me, that's what makes me feel good. I love it. I love that thing. The thing is, everybody still wants to share my sweet Roundtree fruit gums.
Yeah, of course, man, of course.
Hey, man, leave my Roundtree fruit gums. But I think for me, I've always had sweets. It's like, it's in my nature to have that. And I think it's what kind of helps me not be the person I am, because I'll always be this way without sweets. But I think it's just one of the things that's my vices. Some people smoke, some people drink. Sweets are my thing.
That's
sweets
how you unwind.
That's how I unwind.
They hate us because they ain't us, man.
Hey, man, that's it. They wish they could.
Yes, people. As you already know, this is Lion in the Room. And I don't even need to ask you. You're loving the episode. You're enjoying it. I'm Leo. I got Dean on. And as it goes, we're going to be talking about house design. Now, really quickly, you've been on TV. Yeah. And if I am correct, it was the Interior Design Masters.
It was.
How was the experience? What was it like?
You know what? It was a fun experience. I think I've never done interior design before. I've only done my house. So when I did this show, I was like, I'm going to apply for it. I remember when I tried to apply for the show, I was like, I don't know if I'll be good at it. I've seen people do it and I think I could do a good job, but I don't know if I'll be good at it. So like the last few minutes before the application closed, I posted it and went, yeah, I'll just send it. Okay. And I got a phone call a couple of days afterwards and then I was like, you're invited on the show. And I thought, okay, let me just talk to them and did an interview. And I got past that stage and I was like, you know what? And then they gave me that. And then the funny thing is they said, oh, we'll call you back with some time to let you know. And I was thinking, okay. So the day came thinking, I'm going to hear back if I got no phone call. So I'm like, oh boy, I didn't get through. I didn't get through. Damn, didn't get through. And then another day went through, I didn't get a phone call. They said they're still looking for people, didn't get a phone call. Then got on a phone call after that. And I was like, yeah. And she played like Simon Cowell, like, yeah, how do you think it went? Yeah. You got through? And I was like, yeah.
Oh, okay. I was so gassed. Okay, cool.
I was so gassed. But then I realized
with your emotions.
Yeah, played your emotions. But it was such a lovely process. Everybody on the show from production all the way through were amazing. And I think it's one of them beautiful shows to be a part of. It's weird because you get to see behind the scenes. And now I've watched it. Now I know how it works.
Okay.
But it was lovely. I mean, the biggest appreciation I can give to it is like, not just to the head judges like Alan Carr and Michelle, but it's like the runners. The runners just would do things for you you wouldn't even see behind the scenes. Like, I need this, I need a drink, I need this iron. We'll run back and get it for you. There was a lady called Tash, I call her Tash. She was one of my sweethearts. She always give you a hug, always gave you the positive info. Sarah would always make sure you looked after. They just made sure you were well loved and well looked after. And I think that's one of the beautiful parts of being that show. And everybody that's been on that show has had that same feeling of love and it's that support. And when you're going into something that's different and new, it's one of them challenges. You do not know what the frontier is going to be. You don't know how it's going to work out. You don't know how they're going to treat you and perceive it. But I had such a great time. The only thing I wish that at the time if I did it again is that I wasn't working. Because I was working and doing a show. So 1 week I was on the show and 1 week you're meant to be sourcing your bits for the show and I was working. And that made it really hard because I think creatively wise for me, the biggest lesson I learned from that, creative wise, you need sleep to be creative, right? Sleep's important, right? It's not underrated. Sleep's important. And time to be able to think of these ideas of what you want to do, because the longer the show went on, they want you to do more. But because I was working hard, and I remember it was in our peak season at work, where you couldn't take time off, I really struggled to try and get enough sleep and enough time to do design, because I would get home at 8. And then when I got home at 8:30, I'm trying to do a design till probably 1 in the morning. The next shift, I'm probably going to be up at 8. I might need to get up earlier to get some more equipment and tool bits I need for design. So I never really got time for my brain to really settle, say, right, this is the creative juices that I need to flow. Towards the end, I think I made a mistake before I left and got kicked off the show at the end in week 5.
Oh, damn.
And the ship is like, my wife was like, you haven't done that? I was like, yeah, I haven't even got an idea. The creativity wasn't coming. The juices where you get the creative juices weren't there. I was like, I'm beat. My head is dry. I can't think of anything I want to do. Then I got some towels. And she said, why don't you get towels? Why don't you just get some like vinyl you can put on the wall and glue it on the wall. And I was like, yeah. I didn't think of that at the time. My brain wasn't thinking of that at the time. And that's the kind of place you get to when you haven't got that creativity. So it's kind of one of the things, if I could do it again, if they did it All Stars, then I would come back. But I think, it's a great experience to do something that was different and be able to show people how to use black and make it sophisticated and classy. And I think being able to do the hotel, which is always my favorite one, where we had like an 18th century like grade 2 listed hotel, which is one of them manor hotels where you wouldn't be able to do a design where I did it. I went black and they were like, you really gonna do black? I'm like, hell yeah. If I can't do black here, then where can I do it? This is the place. And it was one of them things where it's such a memorable moment. And if I could do it again, I'll probably do it differently. I'll still do it black, but there's just elements where you learn different things and you think, well, I'll do different color choices of how I do the wall and certain things, because I'm always a perfectionist. I'm always looking at things going, how can I do that better? How could that be better? So I think, it was a great experience. It was a great exposure for me. It was great to be able to see someone of myself being a black male on there, because I think I was the first black male to be on that show. So it was nice to be able to show my kids to go, this is what you can do. And younger generations like that look at me and go, do fashion, made me think, well, who does interiors? That you can do interiors. If you want to do something, if you're passionate about doing something different, have a go. What's the worst thing that can happen? Push yourself.
Of course, I definitely agree so, man, because I don't know, like the house market's very lucrative. And especially if you're an interior designer, even if you're not decorating houses for sale, or you're coming up to, spruce up people's newly bought houses, offices, events, find your places, you'll find yourself even in garages. Anyone might just want to have their place spruced up. It starts off with, your average guys, your average Joes, regular people just like us. And before you know it, you're styling the houses or the areas of big name people. So I really like that, being able to show your kids that, well, you've seen me on TV, you're seeing me doing something that I didn't start to love anyways, but it shows you that you can do anything. You can do whatever you put your mind to. Even in my favorite Bible verse is Philippians 4 verse 13. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. So being able to see your father push for his goals, push for a standard of life that he deserves, and he also believes you deserve to shoot for, that should also push you. It's a lovely thing, honestly. And it actually just reminds me really quickly of an effect. They call it the Pygmalion effect. It's basically just kind of like a lifestyle where you get what you put in. Or if anything, what people put into you is what you then put out. If you have a lot of people promoting confidence, promoting a positive lifestyle, promoting to that doggish, relentless grind, you will normally grind. You will normally want that because it no longer seems alien. Imagine you're this is also not to speak badly of any work style. Anywhere you find yourself, if you are happy and content there, then maybe that's the life that's for you. But when you want more, you realize that there's so much you have to shoot for. There's so much you have to shoot for.
So much more out there. I think there's so much more out there for you to do. And I think it's one of the things, people get prisoned in their own mindset of this is what it is and this is what I've got to do. And even with me, before I applied, there was that part in my head, as much as I might be charismatic and bold, try new things, there was a part of me going, will I be good enough? Can I do it?
That's true.
I've never done it. But again, at the same time, with me being me, I'm like, of course you can. That's my mum. Of course you can. Let's just do it. What's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen? Give it a go. Try it. And I think that's the message I always wanted to show to my children was that I may not be great at everything and I may not be good at everything, but if you try hard, you put your head down and work it, what's the worst that can happen? Push yourself. If you really want to do something, there should be no one stopping you from being able to do what you want to do. And I think that's the vision that I had and the passion of, I want to try something different. I've never done it. I'm going to have a go at it. And to my life, that's what I do with everything. Like again, with fashion, food, whatever I do, there's something creative. If I made you food today, it would be creative. I'll be experimenting with you with different foods and different things. Because I think it's about experimenting and having fun. That's what life is all about. We're only here once. There is no rerun. So it's about pushing yourself and doing things that you want to do and doing things that make you happy. And I'm as big as advocate of doing things that make you happy. What makes you happy? So to my younger generation, I'm like, what makes you happy? What do you love doing? How can we make that into a profitable business? How can we make that into something you love doing and pays you to do it? Because a lot of the time people get into so much that you got to do a job and you work and do this job and then you don't love the job, but you do it for the money. You're never really happy. And I think life is too short to not to be happy. So you need to be able to make sure that you do something that makes you get up in the morning and you're proud to do and you love doing it, or there's passion involved in doing it. You might not love all of it because not everybody loves everything of their job, but there has to be an element in there where you love getting up to work and you love doing it. It can't just be financial. Because if it's just financial, you're hurting your soul because that's not what you should be doing. It's just got to be something that you love to do. So I would tell the younger generation, find something you love to do. What is your passion? What do you love doing? What makes you happy? What gets you that motivation that keeps you happy and puts some money in first? How can you make that profitable? How can that make you money? So for my boys, I'll be like, what makes you happy? What do you love doing? How can you make that into a business?
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, that's the most important part. Waking up every day doing something you love to do isn't a job. It is fun. And you live your life that way, then you live longer because you're happy with yourself. Stress is the biggest killer. So when people do things they don't love doing, they're not happy, it causes that negativity, that mind space where they're depressed. If you do things you love to do and you're enjoying the company you're with and the thing you're doing and people who are around you, then life will always be better.
Very true. I would definitely agree with everything you said, honestly, because it just sounds like you take everything in your stride.
Yeah.
You take everything in your stride. And that's literally the way it's meant to be. Now, moving on to our next question, because obviously to have a good day, there are different factors that play into it. But let's talk about music, because music really just be pulling the emotional strings. Amen. You never really know how things move for you, but everyone has their preference and everybody knows what they like. So for you, Dean, I'd like to ask, what's your music playlist like? And are you into old school or are you into that new trend kind of music?
Yeah, I appreciate all music. I'm an old school lover, so it's a mix, but I am neo soul through and through. Your Maxwell, D'Angelo, who else will I go with? Oh, I forgot his name now. He's going to kill me now. Raheem DeVaughn is another one. Raheem DeVaughn. Eric Robertson is one of my favorites as well. So there's a few. Jodeci, we're going back old Jodeci. Yeah, I'm trying to think of now. So R. Kelly, when R. Kelly, back before R. Kelly got himself in trouble.
You know what's funny? Everyone's gonna give you that side eye when you mention R. Kelly, but check that playlist. You find him there.
R. Kelly had bangers. I don't care. R. Kelly had bangers. I'm not gonna lie. No matter what people do, and I'm not sitting there saying I agree with whatever he done, but musically, I'm just talking from a musical standpoint. Artist, beautiful artist, and made some songs, bangers, and they are on my playlist and they remain on my playlist. So I think, you know what I mean? It's about appreciation. And for me, I love the neo. So I love songs that move you, that take you to another place. Okay. Yeah, so I love that kind of thing, jazz, anything that can move you and take you to another place. And music is so instrumental to my life. I listen to music every day. Like if the TV's not on, but I don't care if there's no TV. And I get this from my mum. My mum was always about music. Like on a Sunday or in the day, she'll have her music on. That's good. So much so that she's got musical speakers in her lights in her house. So when you go around the house, you can hear music. So for me, I'm on that vibe. I'm all about the music. Literally, I might get told by my neighbors for that. I have been told off once. Because I listen to my music loudly and I like my music. And it calms me down. It puts me into a different place. I don't care if the TV's on, but music for me, no matter what I'm doing, music's always involved. Music always a part of my life. Always, always.
That's good, man. That's good. Honestly, music is always just a chill factor that comes into whatever it is you're doing. You know, life sometimes feels kind of quiet. You know, you're growing up. I feel like a lot of people can understand where I'm coming from. You know, you're either going to work, you're coming back from work, especially when you've just had a negative or a really long day, man. Everything just seems very stagnant. Yeah. You find the right music. And obviously, I will always say, be careful what you're listening to. Make sure that what you're listening to is good for you and it's healthy. Yeah. As you grow, you start to learn what I mean more, but you should be able to search and use discernment to find, you know, the right kind of music. Definitely the right kind of music. So now that I've explained that, I'll continue saying what I'm saying. Basically, when you just want to unwind, sometimes you just play a little soul, sometimes you play a little R&B, sometimes it's just chill. I got Masego, a whole playlist, just him.
Yeah, he's good.
Since 2018. It was a friend from Foundation.
Yeah, I think you brought me onto one of his tracks, actually.
You actually knew, I put you onto one of the tracks. But you knew Masego. Yeah. You even, I remember I came into our place of work and you were like, oh, Leo, you know who's playing right now? And it was Common. Yeah. And I did not know you were into Common as well. Man. I was like, oh, you mess with Common? I was like, okay.
Yeah, man. Okay, all of it. But for me, even gospel, like for me, I think all music has like a feeling of emotion and makes you feel something. So even in my playlist, I'll go from classical music to neo soul, to R&B, rare groove, and you might even get me going to the gospel. I think they all have their place, and I think it's all different places when you beat it. But I want to feel more connected to the Lord and Savior, then I'll be playing gospel for the house the whole day because it takes me to a spiritual place. Yes. Do you know what I mean? So I think music has a way of controlling how you feel, but takes you to different places. That's why I love music so much, because it's allowed to control your emotions. So even when I'm coming home from work and I've had a busy day, and you're thinking I need to compress because of all the stuff that's gone on for that day, and I've got to come home and see my family, music will be on. And that's what will give me that quiet, because sometimes I don't want to hear interfere noise. I want to just hear music that just relaxes me, calms me down, that helps me meditate. And then I'm like, right, I'm back in the zone. And that's music, and that's the beautiful power of music.
Love it. Great, man. That's good. This has been a lovely time. I've always wanted to just have the opportunity to speak to anyone, everyone. everyone. But the good thing that you do realize is that everyone has something to say. Everyone has something to share. And you will always learn, you know, whether you're 75, whether you're 92. Well, blessings, man. You be as old as Methuselah. But the thing that you do realize is that someone has something to teach you. Even if you're hearing it from a 5-year-old kid, they might just tell you that they realize they shouldn't dig too deep into their nose. It's funny, but you learned it too. And you kind of appreciate that you get to hear something new from anybody. So with that, I'm very thankful that you guys have still been watching, but don't forget to like, just in case you forgot. I know this has been a really fun conversation, and it's very hard to tap that little thumbs up, but please, I don't normally ask, but please. This has been my conversation with Dean. And another thing, just to let you guys know, I appreciate learning from people, but I definitely say that Dean is one of the people that I've learned a lot of things from. In the time that I've known him, he has taught me or reminded me of things that my parents already told me, like using your initiative. Back in night, we call it common sense. You know, common sense is not common. You know, you say that to some people here, they won't talk to you for the end of your shift. But, you know, when it was told to me, I realized that those things were very true. And the thing that I liked, or the thing that I like in knowing you, you're much older than I am. So obviously you still deserve your props and your respect as an older man. But it's a very small world. Yeah. It's a very small world, man. And I'm blessed to have the opportunity to learn from him. And you guys will get to see, I got more episodes, great episodes coming for you guys. So I really just hope that you appreciate what we're doing, because this is all so that we as people, the young and the old, can stand on their 2 feet boldly. You know, you're not going to have everything. You're not going to be the best. You're not going to be that guy, but you can definitely be someone of importance. You know, I can't force you. I can never force you into my faith as well, but I will tell you that as a Christian, as a follower of Christ, I will inform you. I will never convince you. So as long as you're enjoying what we put out there, then it's a big thank you. This has been a very enjoyable time, but you know, this is not a SAP story. Going into the main questions, Dean, I'd like to know about, or if anything, I would like to bring this to your attention. I call it the blueprint of life. Yeah. It's something that some people can easily understand, you know, life, a big old blueprint, the steps which you should follow. But before a person starts to look at the blueprints that they can make for themselves or for anyone coming after, there is already a blueprint that was set in motion. Yeah. How do you see that? Or how have you noticed what your mom has set in place, or what your parents, family members have set in place for you? And how have you taken that into setting up what you set up for your children?
I think, you know what it is, as a parent, they always have a blueprint of what you want. And being a parent, you always have a plan of what you want your children to do and the line of where you would like them to go. I think I always make my mum proud because I always do what is right for me. Now, obviously, I still make my mistakes because I'm a bit of a rebel. So I will make a little bit of mistakes here and there. And my mum knows that. She knows me very well for that. But I think the only thing is for me, my goal was always to have a loving family and be a supportive dad. I think that was always one of my key goals. And obviously, and doing things that I love to do. And I think my mum's always pushed me to do things that I love to do, what makes me happy. Obviously, yes, I've got bills to pay and these things will never go out of place. Everybody's got bills to pay. But she always taught me that blueprint that I can do whatever I put my mind to. Yeah, I can do whatever I want to put my mind to and do something that will make me happy. And I think being in retail, I fell into that, kind of one of them things that worked for me. I've done office jobs before and I thought, you know, it's a bit boring sometimes because everybody sits really quietly and no one speaks. I know. Whereas in retail, I talk to everybody and I can always find myself something to do, and I always like to keep myself busy, I like to keep myself active. So I think, you know what I mean? The plan for me was always set to be able to do something that I love to do, and I've always been able to do that. I think my parents' plan was me to get a house at an early age so we can have our own legacy. And I think that was something that we started saving up from 18, that we started saving money for a house. And me and my twin sister got a house when we were 21. And I'm not going to say it was easy. It wasn't. My sister will vouch for that. She knows it wasn't easy. But the beautiful thing is put me on a step ladder where I can get a house now better than I could have done when I was younger. And I think the thing for me now is that I've now put that same legacy that my parents have put that template onto me to my own children. So my children have savings accounts already where when they get to a certain age where people go, oh, they should be buying a car. I'm like, no, they'll be buying a house. I'm not saying they've got to live in it, but I want them to have a house. That's my goal for them, to have a house. So they've got property, because bricks and mortar make money. So for me, if they have a house and they've got something of them, then their kids will do the same thing. So it's about teaching that generational wealth. You can get a house early. Now, I got my house at 21. I want my kids, if they could, get a house at 18. Because Therefore, they're striving better than I did. And that means they will have more for themselves to go for. It makes life easier because my life is easier in a sense because I got a house earlier. So I think there's certain things that your parents put in place for you that they want you to have because they've experienced it for themselves and they've seen the struggles and tribulations they've gone through. They're setting you up so you can then take strive from that and go, right, what do I do now to make sure that I'm happy? What can I do now where I've got more money coming in that I can do better? And I think it's about picking wisely, picking that partner that will ride and die with you, that will make you a better person. It's being selective. Your parents will teach you morals and compasses so you pick the right partner. There's a few people out there pick wrong partners. And as you're young, you will pick partners that might not benefit you or push you in the right direction that could drag you down. So for me, it's all about being selective and picking the right person for you that's going to work for you. Me being so observant, I can see that already. I can foresee things before it happens.
That's good.
And that's the beauty that I have from my mum, that she can foresee things. And we have this saying, don't say certain things because you can put your mouth on people. So I won't say certain things about certain people because I know that if I said it, it might come into fruition, it might come out. So for me, one of the things from your parents is teaching you wise and wisdom of going, what you can do and obviously foreseeing things, and that'll make life easier. There are always going to be things and trials and tribulations that are going to happen in my life. I know that's just God's plan. But I follow God's plan to the sense that I'm doing what I need to be doing at that right point in time. The main thing I'm doing is that I'm happy, and that's the main thing I have. My kids are happy, my family's happy. And that's the biggest thing I can ask for, and they're still here. And that is the best blessing I can ever have.
That's lovely, man. You realize that it's all just preparation, you know. Yes. Sometimes some people don't make the best blueprints.
Yeah.
You know, it's a cycle. Like we already discussed, it's a cycle. You realize that somewhere along the line, a parent, you know, a child turned onto the wrong side of the road, you know, and then there's no more direction.
No.
Sometimes you do then have to steer yourself back. A lot of times, as what we believe, we call on God to bring us back to where we need to be. Amen. You know, you repent on these things and you keep it pushing. You know, you keep it pushing. You create a blueprint. You realize there are a few mistakes. You don't just throw the whole thing away. No. You just fix those things because you still know that there are people coming that need that guidance. Yeah. You know, there are people that need that guidance, and it's a lovely thing that you're doing. My next question now will obviously be how important is passing on knowledge and wealth to those coming after us, i.e., you know, your children, you know, even like younger cousins, like passing on those things?
I think it's super important. I think you only learn by what you've been taught. So the sayings I will have from my mum that I say now as I get older with my own children are from my mum. My mum didn't get them from herself. She got them from her elders and first and vice versa. So for me, it's so important that you teach your kids, all people that are older, lessons about life so they can experience certain things, because it's different. Because it's really what it is, you said before, you can hear things from your parents that don't always resonate because it's from your parents. You might hear it from somebody else, it resonates. It's the same thing but packaged differently. But you accept it differently because it's not your parents that's going, oh, here they go again, tell me something again I don't need to hear. When someone else tells you, oh, actually it's the same as what my parents did, I get it. So I think it's super important, especially for our generation, to make sure that we're educating them and empowering with tools of wisdom that we know so they can better themselves. I think that's the only way things can grow, and that's the only way you can create legacy and wealth, is by passing on your skill set. Your dad's doing it with you, your mum's doing it with you. They're probably passing on certain things to your siblings that you'll learn what they've learned from their parents, and mistakes that they've learned, they'll pass them on. So we might make mistakes, and obviously you might want to make mistakes yourself, but we'll try to advise you in the mistakes. We're like, I did this, Leah, I've done this, and this is what happened. If I was you, I'd advise maybe do this. Think this way. That's maybe move position this way. You might not take it all as gospel, because sometimes you have to go to your own path. As they say, you can't lead a horse to water. But some things you would take and go, you know, actually, I get what he's saying. I get what he's saying. So I think it's vitally important to educate young youth and teach them the lessons, because that's the only way they're going to grow and prosper. Because the generation we've got now needs it more than ever. Because I always say, my generation is a slightly older generation. And I'm an 80s baby, so I'm with the 80s. Yeah. When I start looking at some people, these youth today, they haven't got that same discipline, that same charisma, that same drive. They do in some aspects. They want to be successful, but it's almost like I want to be successful now. Gen Z, I want it now. I want money now. I want to be rich now. I don't want to have to work for it. Whereas, you have to hustle and you have to work. So it's about teaching people. Sometimes you have to get your hands dirty. Sometimes it's not going to come overnight. You're not going to be successful overnight. But if you keep putting the work in, you put that dedication in, and you keep turning up and putting that grind in, something will happen for you. That's God's plan. But you can't expect to just turn up overnight and expect it to happen. Sometimes you got to put a hard graft in. Sometimes you got to use your common sense. And I know it isn't always key, and common sense is always taught, but it's something you can learn. Yeah. And once you use your common sense per se, and start really focusing on what you want to do and really putting that drive and work ethic in, then things will turn out well for you.
100%, man. 100%. I like how you mentioned the fact that, kids today, it's my generation. Yeah. It's my generation.
Your generation.
It's not easy. Oh, gee.
No.
Well, that's just the thing. You have people that have that have instilled these traits, these mantras into kids like myself, into children like other people around me. And then you have those that have not been so fortunate.
Yes.
You know, some that have been taught a different lifestyle completely, whereas they feel like they don't even need the mantras that were going to be passed on to them. It's as though they've been taught the opposite, you know.
Yeah.
How can kids those days, how can my generation work on, let's say, confidence, charisma? If you had to teach them these things, how would you teach a young boy how to be confident? Because a lot of these things do affect them seriously.
Yeah, with confidence, you think in young males as strife, and you think about like even like suicide is higher in men than it is in women due to the fact of how people feel about themselves. And I think there are so many things that you have as distractions of social media and all these things that will make you feel pretty conscious. When I was younger, I wanted to be fit. I didn't see somebody on social media that was training and ripped and thinking, oh, I need to look like him. So there's always this impression that you need to look like somebody else and you need to dress a certain way or you need to have this kind of charisma. It's about getting back to basics. And I think it's about obviously learning and loving yourself. And to me, it's about what do you love about yourself? Championing yourself. Self-love is self-key for me. Because once you understand what you're about and how you should love yourself, the rest becomes easy. Like when I was younger, I wasn't confident. I wasn't the kind of guy that goes up to girls and talks to people randomly. That was taught. My cousin would push me and go and speak to her. You like her? I'm like, yeah, I like her. I'm just scared to speak to her. And he would say to me, shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Yeah, shoulda, coulda, wouldas. What are you going to do about it? Don't talk about it. Be about it. So I'd have to go up and go and speak to her. Now, obviously, when I go up there, I'll make the mistakes and I would say the wrong things. But as you do these things, you learn. I think the biggest thing for young males is to understand that give yourself grace. Give yourself grace to make mistakes. Give yourself grace to say things wrong. But put yourself in a position where you can try and learn and do it. Like no one's going to hold your hand and do it for you, but hopefully you've got a mentor. And this is why I say for the older generation and the younger generation, you need a mentor. I think I had my cousin as my mentor. My cousin he was older than me. So he was my mentor. He was the one that taught me about girls and dressing up and dancing. He would always push me to do certain things I was uncomfortable doing, teaching me how to self-defend and look after myself. He was the one that taught me that. So I think you need to have someone in your corner that's always going to be able to help you. And this is why you have some people that have gone to Andrew Tate and from that rhetoric. I'm not saying everything he says is negative, but the majority of it is because they haven't got anybody in there to mentor them. So they're looking at somebody else to mentor them and they're taking out bad habits. I think it's finding someone that will go, right, this is like a big brother that will go, right, this is how you do it. This is how you speak to ladies. This is how you talk. This is how you carry yourself. This is how you move around people. This is how you carry yourself in business. This is how you carry yourself in a work environment. This is how you carry yourself with your mum if you're talking to your mum. There's certain rules and it comes from home and it all stems from your parents. My goal thing is this. How you speak to your mum is how you speak to other people.
That's true.
So if you can speak to your mum with disrespect, everybody's going to get it. Because your mum is the highest person. She raised you. So if your mum is not disciplining from you, then the rest of the world is going to experience the wrong side of you, because if you can't respect your mum who brought you into this world, how can you respect anybody else? So my mum is a queen. Your mum is a queen. I would never backchat my mum. As big as I am now, 45, there's no way I could backchat my mum. Even if I'm a big grown man, I'm still her baby.
I'll make my mistakes, but I'm learning.
Yeah.
Please.
So we do learn, and that's why we have to have the grace to be able to learn. And your mum will give you that grace to learn.
Yeah.
But I think as you get older, you realize that. And I think this is the generation where they need to be able to take heed in that. And that's where the discipline and that support is vital. Dads, parents, uncles are all vital because they're all going to pass you words of wisdom. Yeah. It's like you go to Scouts, you pick up a badge. Yeah. I've learned how to set a fire with some locks. I've learned how to put up a tent. These things are mantra to life. He's teaching these life lessons. I know how to speak to girls. How do I speak to girls? Because someone's showing me how. I wouldn't be as confident as I am now, skill set of dancing or be able to talk to people like the way I do, if it wasn't for the lessons that I was taught from my cousin who taught me them, who pushed me into situations where they were uncomfortable for me to learn them. I wouldn't be able to talk to people. Now, I can talk to anybody at any occasion, at any place, and that didn't frighten me. Talk up on the stage, it didn't frighten me because I've been tested. I've been tried and tested and I've done it. So I think for me, it's so, so important that you have that. And for my own kids, that's something I would do. And if it's one of them things that I think always sometimes like I would maybe put up videos because I never know how long I'm going to be here for. Yeah, I don't know God's plan. So sometimes I even think about, do I put a video up and talk to my kids about how I would do things so they understand there's certain lessons that they need to get to at certain points. So educate them on how they move, because life will throw so many obstacles to you. It's very easy to go off the forgotten path. So as we said, there's a blueprint. Yeah. But you know, when you're driving your car with sat-nav, it can say you go this direction. Before you know it, you've not even seen the direction you turned off.
True.
Now, sometimes sat-nav can redirect you and put you on that same path. Sometimes you've got to go all the way back round again and go back again.
True.
Now, that's how life works. Sometimes you can make a mistake and you've got to start all the way back from the beginning. Now, I know people have been in situations where they've done things and it's put them in a situation where it's not comfortable and they might have to spend some time behind the Manchester prison and have to start again. But doesn't mean they can't succeed. Doesn't mean they can't get back on the right path.
Mm-hmm.
But you just have to have faith and you just have to have that work ethic. And some people will make mistakes and not learn from them. And some people would make mistakes and learn them. But I think it's all about support and having people in your corner. And I think a lot of people, where they get depressed and have this depression, because they don't have anybody in their corner to ride for them. When stuff gets deep or you haven't got anybody to talk to, like I had my best friend when I was younger, who was Aussie, and when we were younger, we would talk about deep stuff, like stuff that you wouldn't talk to your parents about, like men stuff that you had someone where you go like, I'm going through a situation. Like I would talk to you, like I've had situations, you had a situation, we would talk and we go, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. This is what I would probably do. This is how I look at life.
Yeah.
And you would get a different perspective. But if you didn't have that, then what would you do? Do you know what I mean? So I think
facing it on your own.
Yeah, you're facing it on your own. So I think a lot of young men were facing it on their own because it's got that macho thing. I'm a man, I can do it on my own. I don't need anybody to help me. No one needs to help me. I can do it on my own. But sometimes the biggest thing about being a man is asking for help.
True.
That's the biggest lesson of being a man. If you want to be a man out there, I'm telling people out there, if you want to be a man out there and you want to be, like, I'm the big I am, it's about being emotionally attached to your feelings and being open and to be able to talk to people about how you feel and be able to have grace when you make mistakes and be able to own them mistakes. And taking accountability. That's how to be a man. That's how to prosper. That's how to get to places, because you need to learn from your mistakes. You need to be able to have self-reflect, but you also need to be able to ask for help when you need it and not say this is a one-man island. There's a family of people that are going to help you, support you. And every great person, if you look at them that are wealthy, have had someone to support them and guide them. They've never done it on their own. If you look at rich people, they hang with rich people for a reason. They don't hang with broke people, right? Rich people don't hang with broke people. Rich people hang with other rich people so they can be inspired by that other person, so they can learn traits of how to be even better or be more rich. Yeah. So these are lessons that I think that are the things that you want to do. If you want to progress, if you want to do things, hang around with someone that will push you to that level. If you want to be the best dresser, hang with someone that is in fashion. If you want to be the most confident talker and that someone's got like riz or knows how to talk, hang with someone that knows how to do it. Learn from them. That person will give you that confidence that will push you to get you better. And don't be scared to make mistakes. Life is easy. We can make mistakes. We can build from that. We can dust ourselves off, get back up and we go again. Life doesn't go over because you make a mistake.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly, challenges come, but you realize that you're able to overcome them through what you've learned and through the people you've met. God brings people in for reasons and different seasons, so I love it, man. I love the fact that you've been able to really acknowledge what's happening in your life, evaluate it, because you know that you have this knowledge you need to give somebody. And your sons are going to be able to take this, may not accept it the first time, but they will understand as they get older because you've taken everything, from your life so far. And you've learned how to understand it. You've learned how to go about what's happened, the things that you believe you deserve, the things that you believe you didn't deserve, the things that happened regardless of whatever you did, because obviously every other human being around you is living their own life. So it shouldn't be too surprising when a person decides to act on their own because, they're just living their own life. But you were still curious enough to lead your life the way you wanted it to be, based off of the good things you saw other people doing and the way other people did this good or did good for you. The way your parents, the way your mom, aunties, what you learned from your dad, stepdad, cousins, anyone around you that really taught you what was good, you picked it up. And now you're ready to share it to those that you can call your own. What you've built will not be for nothing because you have prepared, you're independent, you're self-sufficient. And at the same time, there's a level of gratitude and self-satisfaction I get from most of what you've spoken about, because you obviously want more, but you are happy with what you've made for yourself. The confidence also comes in understanding and knowing who you are. And that's a lovely thing, man. This has been a great one. And I really appreciate what you've put out there. People, all I'd say, I don't even need to say much. I could just say, bye, this is the end of it. But truthfully, you realize that in everything you do, like I already said, you get to meet people. Indirectly, you learn from people. Indirectly, your actions affect people. And indirectly, they affect you as well. But in everything you do, there must be a certain level of intentionality, you can't go about your day not having a mantra, or if anything, a faith. Find something to believe in, find something that pushes you to where you need to be, but search for the truth. You know, I will always say search for the truth, because I believe the truth is what makes you stand boldly. Because when you stand on a lie, you're always going to be shaky. When you stand on, sand, you build your house on sand, I mean, that's going to sink. It's not going to work out well. But you don't need to hear my proverbs, man. This has been a lovely episode where I have been able to bring on a friend, a mentor, a great individual that has built himself and is still looking to add more finishes to that little woodwork in his house, you know what I mean? And it's great. People, I would really appreciate if you pick up what the good things, the great things we've said in this episode, because everyone has an opportunity to be great. It doesn't matter what another person has set up for you, because at some point you get to set up things for yourself, and you will indirectly set up things for those that come after you. People are watching. People are always watching, and you don't need to be too bothered about what they are going to say, but be bothered about the person you become. Ask yourself, look at yourself in the mirror, and if you're not satisfied with where you are now, that's not the end. It's not a place for you to be, well, okay, sad, hang your head down. No problem. Where do I go from here? You are in control. No one else. I will always say straight up, put your faith in God, put your faith in Jesus, unless you find, as long as you find that, you start to understand more. But as for me, people, I am Leo Doce. I've had Dean Powell on, aka the Dark Lord interior. Dark Lord, but a clear mind. You know what I did there? There's light, people.
I like
There's light, honestly. And
definitely,
man, honestly, I pray God blesses you, bro, because you've done so well. I always big you up, bro. I say that you do well for your kids. I say you do well for your missus. You do well for yourself, because I remember, I'm talking, honestly. He does all the woodwork for his mom, all the house, all the furniture stuff. Like, I always say I want my mom to call on me. I want my mom to be happy that I can do these things. He does it. The mom will come into work and go, oh, where's Dean? Oh, he's not here. She don't want to talk to nobody else but him. It's cool. And Dean just pops out of nowhere, and the biggest smile. That is someone who has worked for himself and now gets to do for the parents that have raised him. So parents, raise your kids well. They will love you and take care for you. Kids, love your parents. Even if, the cards of life didn't play so great for you, learn, acknowledge, because you can still make life better for your parents without them, without there being any kind of struggle. Acknowledge the hardships and we move. But, we'll be moving on to another episode in another week. But tune in, because this has been Lion in the Room, episode 35. If it's not 35, I'll call it 36, but it doesn't really matter, because this has been a great episode. Episode 50 coming out very soon. People, tune in, subscribe. Thank you very much. Dean, thank you very much as well, man.
Thank you for having me. A pleasure, man.
Any final words? Anything you want to say to the people? Anything you want to push out there to those?
So I would say make sure you subscribe and follow. Definitely make sure you subscribe and follow. I've had a lovely time, so thank you.
I appreciate it.
I think for me, it's just the most important in life is to have yourself grace. Give everybody self-grace for people around you, for the people you love and the people you don't love. And just put things in your own stride. Worry about yourself. Focus on oneself. If you focus on oneself, everything becomes a little bit more easier. And that's always how I look at life. Just focus on yourself. Don't watch what other people are doing. Some people might have more than you and have less than you. But I would say, even if someone's got more than you, there's always going to be someone out that's got less than you. So just focus on what you've got and be appreciative of what you've got, and take every day as a true blessing, because we do not know how long we're here for. So just appreciate the life that we have and what we got.
Amen. There we have it, people. Lion in the Room, take care of yourself. God bless you, and peace.
Lovely, man.
All done.
Perfecto, bro. Nicely done, man.
Really
great setup, man. Thank you, brother. Pleasure to be a part of it, man.
Of course, bro. Of course. I'm glad you came through, man.
When you said to me, Dean, come through, I was like, there's no way I ain't gonna come through. You said, Dean, you gonna come? I was like, just tell me the time. Yeah, brother.